Taurus, Sun, Moon and Rising, welcome to your reading. We will get started into your solar eclipse reading. This eclipse is taking place in Scorpio on the 25th, and this is a new moon eclipse. It's a partial one, so it won't be as punchy as it would be if it was a total eclipse. But since it is right opposite your sign, it is still quite impactful for you. In your zodiac, we have the North Node transiting, and in the Scorpio, we have South Node. So through eclipses, the nodal axis is again activated, and so is the Saturn square Uranus that is taking place in the background. So this kind of brings up the same topics of what is stability, what needs to change, what needs to transform, and how can we rebalance ourselves, and how can we find a place for our individuality within certain structures. Okay, so it's shaking things up and loosening parts that we have not looked at before. We also have a trine between Mercury in Libra and that is trining Mars in Gemini. So there is a lot of clarity here for future action, although eclipse times are not a great time for starting any new projects or new actions here. So just take in the clarity and then take that forward into your life. And we also have Mars in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces, which is retrograde. So this clarity that comes can be in the form of disillusionment. So it can feel a little bit unpleasant in that moment, but this unpleasant has a purpose, and the purpose is to bring in truths that have long been there, and it now needs to go. Okay, so let's see what we have for you. I'm really intrigued. Okay, we have waxing gibbous moon with finalize. Okay, something is finishing up here. What's this oracle card here? We have the storm. So this is the Tower card here. Okay, so the things that break down, things that are released from your life, they are not because you are not deserving of them or whatever. Sometimes it is needed, okay? Because whatever we have been doing is reacting to patterns that are not very true to us. And things that are not on solid foundations, only those things crumble away. So things that bring you actual fulfillment and satisfaction, the connections that are constructive for you, those things are not going anywhere, so don't worry. With the storm here, it's just to bring up the gunk that we have not looked at before, and it has kept stopping us time and again from realizing the true us, okay? Since it is happening in your opposite sign, if we go by the rising sign, then in the 7th house, this storm can come through other people in the form of relationships. It's like evaluating the type of connections that you carry. It can be that you find out that someone is being manipulative, or if you already suspect them of doing so, this kind of brings in the evidence and it's very clear as day. And while it is still difficult to have that suspicion validated, you're also liberated because of it, right? That would be an example. I'm not saying that's literally happening to everybody, but yeah, it's sort of an unpleasant truth that kind of sets you free. Also, it can be that I'm feeling that fresh, cool, crisp air that happens after a lightning strikes. It kind of feels like the entire air has been rejuvenated. In your reading, it's like a clean slate, it's a pure thing, and now you can breathe again. That's what I'm feeling. After the storm is past, you're breathing again, for real, and it feels like the air is crisper. Okay, all right, then we have things will not always be this way. A change is coming. Yeah, with nodal activations, changes are kind of inevitable. Eclipses really bring about a lot of changes, and that being in Scorpio, in the sign of transformation, that really is going to transform the caterpillar into the butterfly. Then we have leg, which is stepping into a new experience. We have club, which is someone will try to make you do something against your will. Okay, so this can be that recognition of, okay, I should have known, and I did not believe in my intuition earlier. Some of you can be having intuitions about this, because this eclipse cycle has been continuing all of 2022, right? We had 2 eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus early on this year, and I've made videos on that, and this set of eclipses is just the continuation of that chapter. It's kind of part 2 of what we have already been discussing. So if you want to know what has been going on in the background for you and what the triggers are all about, what they are trying to teach you, then you can find out what has happened in the previous eclipses and the ones moving ahead from here. Okay, so someone will try to make you do something against your will. That does not have to be a literal person. It can be just that you have been doing something even though you don't really enjoy it, but you feel this kind of pressure or obligation to have to do something. Okay, it can come in that form as well. Then we have family wishes come true with the well. Okay, so this can even be talking about giving into some type of family expectations and obligations and constraints, things like that. So for the family, things are coming true, but it kind of feels a little bit forced. But at the same time, I feel like you're voluntarily going for it as well. It's sort of begrudging understanding. That's the vibe that I'm feeling here. But that is quite specific, so it would be valid for some of you. Apart from that, family wishes coming true can be just the experience that you're stepping into. That is something that people have been wishing for you, and it's kind of unleashing you more. You're able to free up and figure out more prosperous situations for your family and loved ones as well. Yeah, it's sort of family wishes kind of gives that ancestral vibe as well. And kind of shows that backdrop of support that you have in this situation. And especially in times of turmoil and transition, we have a lot of spiritual support because this needs to be done right? Okay, let's see your tarot cards. I'm really curious. We have the Hanged One. Okay, this is the Hanged Man. Then we have the Seven of Wands. Yeah, other people might be, like, it seems like you're wanting to retreat into yourself. You don't want to be bothered with other people because both of them are kind of solitary and defensive energies. So you're putting your walls up, you're being protective of your energy, you're not expending way too much, but you're keeping boundaries. So, and also you're keeping collected and cool. You're kind of disappearing into another world at this time. And perhaps that would be a nice way to use this energy too, because you're understanding different perspectives, you're recognizing your priorities even more, and it's sort of helping you get into your power, whether it is coming through disturbing people or it is just minor inconveniences and annoyances that just makes you feel like I don't want to deal with people at the moment and I just want to retreat. Okay, in whatever form that this comes in, the more you flow with it, the better you're able to experience this storm. Because the Tower card is also about epiphanies, sudden realizations, and after knowing that, you can't unknow it anymore. It's a whole new reality after that. Right, so you're seeing a different perspective. There can be that awakening, a realizing moment. And this comes during a time of surrender with the Hanged One. So you recognize more of your worth and your gifts and what you want to be stepping into, what you want to be doing instead of catering to past obligations or conditioning. You need to retreat a little bit and find your spot in order to gain a better rhythm. Okay, then we have King of Swords. Very analytical, critical, thoughtful, good communicator as well, very decisive. We have the Knight of Cups. This can talk about having some arguments with someone that you're already in a connection with. It's sort of making you realize more things about yourself, what your priorities are, how you want to express yourself, how you want others to express towards you. So you're kind of evaluating what your priorities are in that department as well. Some of you might realize that you've been going for people who kind of align with the family's choices instead of doing what feels right to you. So that would be a sudden realization and disillusionment, and therefore your relationship patterns fully change. Since it is related with the 7th house, you find yourself connecting with people more deeply once you recognize your priorities. Given that there are eclipses in the 7th house, it can also be that someone is eclipsed out of your life, so you kind of disconnect from some friend or somebody, and the Tower can signify breakups as well. Does not mean everyone in relationships is going to break up, or if you're just casually dating that something will horribly go wrong. It does not seem a shocking thing to me, honestly, but it if this is something that you have known for a while or you've been feeling for a while, then this can be the time that patterns change. And it can also be that you're just stating your point more assertively, you're just having that conversation honestly and out loud, and then it is up to the other person to handle it. Okay, it can be in that manner. Okay. Let's see, we have the World, so completion of a cycle, regeneration, a rebirth phase as well. But this rebirth is taking place in the backdrop. It's not yet here. It's just a cycle being completed at the moment. The finishing touches are being made, just like we see with finalize over there. It just talks about that old phase just being done. So you're kind of gathering the wisdom from the previous phase of life and moving forward. You don't want to repeat the same patterns because you want to go off in a new journey and discover new things, open your heart, open your mind, and you just discover and explore, right? Use the skills and talents at your disposal and try things out. We also have the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is very optimistic and idealistic as well. It's also someone who falls in love very quickly and falls hard and fast in love as well. So you can, if you're like avoiding and putting up defenses, then you might see that, you know, you want to open up more, you want to be more honest or more communicative, more expressive with the people that you're going out with or the people that you are with at the moment, regardless of what relationship this is. Not restricted to romantic at all. 7th house is just all the people we have one-on-one connections with. So you might be finding a new way of connecting with people or expressing yourself, which is more authentic to who you are now and kind of displays who you have become so far. And that helps you find new people, new suitors as well. Additionally, you feel much healthier in an emotional, in your emotional state as well. So it frees you up a lot, this eclipse. Okay, then we have play. This indicates flirting. This is just doing what you enjoy. This is allowing your playful side to come out. That's what is taking place here for you. Yeah, okay, then we have home. You know, that family and home, that ancestry is kind of coming up a lot. So you're kind of finding the place where you belong. Who is your home, you know? What people would you consider your home? I think that's a question that a lot of you are going to be asking. Some of you might feel like even if you're surrounded by a lot of people, you still feel alone because they don't understand you in the same way, or that you know, there are conflicts or they're not as supportive, and there are some people who are really toxic and it is hard to cut ties with them completely. But this eclipse is like, I don't want to tolerate people that are not going to be by my side, or not loyal, or not understanding of things, who do not behave like family. Yeah, that can really come about here. So at first it is unpleasant to know, but it is actually helping you simultaneously recognize who is your home, you know, who are your family. It kind of is happening at the simultaneous way here. But that really liberates you when you're able to acknowledge this. Okay, with the Hanged One as well, you immediately see a different perspective. You retreat, you protect yourself, and you understand as well. With the Cups cards and the King of Swords, it's just understanding in your gut, in your heart, and in your mind as well. Okay, and then we have Creator Earth, Earth being your sign. So you're stepping more into your creator role. You're being more assertive and decisive. You are already decisive. You're a fixed sign, so that's not a problem, but this is more exercising in terms of other people. And what type of stability and home security do you really need? And we have imbalance. Moving from imbalance to imbalance. That's what I was wanting to say. Okay, that is the card number 14, which is Temperance energy. This talks about moderation, patience, and in due time, everything is going to flow effortlessly because you know what needs to be fixed, you know what needs to go, what needs to stay, all of that, right? So you have all the resources that you will need in order to bring yourself into balance. And we also have fall in love with your own story. So it's sort of appreciation for all the people that have been there in your life. Just because some people do not, resonate with the new you does not mean that they never had their place. It's just everybody has a different evolution rate and a desire for evolution as well. So, you graduate onto the next phase, and then not everyone is going to be with you in that new phase of life because it's not as relevant. So you don't need to have any hard feelings towards anyone, and I don't think you're holding a grudge or anything. It's just that realization, and now you know. That's that. I don't feel bitterness, pain, sorrow. It's just you're taking a very deep and sincere look at things. You're observing from a different point of view, and you're recognizing a lot of opportunities. Falling in love with your own story is also the acceptance and the forgiveness of the past, because each thing had its place, because it taught you certain lessons that you would not have learned otherwise, or showed you a different perspective that you would not have seen otherwise, right? So it's a learning curve. We make mistakes, we learn from them. That's how we go. So you're falling in love with the way you process information, with the experiences you've had so far, and you're optimistic about where you want to be headed next. Even if that's not like absolutely very clear, you have a feeling that you want to be in balance, you want peace, and you want just calm around you in some way. Okay, then we have flight. Okay. Some of you who have been far away from home and you want to meet them, to connect with them, you could be going home. We have multiverse. Yeah, this is that infinite possibilities card. You know, any reality can happen if you're willing to shift your attitude in that way and really use your resources in that aligned direction. We have selective shield, which is that 7 of Wands, building a protective layer for yourself so that, you know, negative influences do not enter your field. The flight card is like being very focused about what you want. Okay, you're really focusing, you're regrouping, you're understanding, and in that regrouping, you're kind of blocking out external influences, and you're just keeping things and people that are really relevant and important to you in that point in time. And that helps you find a lot of clarity about where you want to be headed next. Okay, it's a gradual process. Take it as you go one step at a time, but there is definite movement from this point on. The world as well can indicate travel. The flight here can indicate travel. So you're not traveling around this time, but it can be a planning towards travel. Okay, or you're thinking about moving somewhere, you don't really know where, but the decision is very clear that you want to be moving. Yeah, okay. Then we have Kali. This is about transformation and rebirth as well. Okay, it is the going away of illusions and disturbing influences. It's not... Willful ignorance is not going to work with this card, and also with the Storm, with Tower, with the Hanged One. The willful ignorance just does not work anymore. What is true will be present, because the truth will set you free. It's not there to hurt you, it's not there to bring in any anguish or anxiety. That's not the purpose at all, because what purpose does that really ultimately bring? So the reasoning here is that illusions need to be destroyed. Darkness needs to be overcome. It needs to be aware of. And that way, you're overcoming your own fears. Recognition that a shadow exists for a reason. Illusions and partitions are necessary for a certain reason. And that when it is time, that illusion will fall away. There will be still another one, but it will keep falling away as we keep stripping back the layers and getting closer and closer to who we truly are. And that's what this mother wants. Okay, let's see your advice card, and then I will take a look at your astro dice as well. We have Bluebird. You're being gifted blessings with blessings of happiness and peace. Yeah, okay. The lighting, it is hard to see. It's kind of glossy, right? Okay, with the Vulture, accept the inevitable, let go of the past, and welcome the rebirth to begin. Yeah, so more you go in the flow here, less rigidity that you have. Just keep your mind open, just keep your mind, eyes, ears, all your senses open around this time. If you can find some time to meditate or at least journal, it is going to be very, very useful for you. Okay, then we have Loon. Pay attention to your dream time. Messages of guidance are drifting in. Yeah, with the Hanged One as well, especially in times of turbulence like this, and you have the node right there in your zodiac, there can really be a lot of activation in your dream state of your subconscious mind, so look out for that. This eclipse is basically a supercharged new moon, right? So yeah. And then we have feel and allow a deeper sense of peace to fill you now. This is a divine quality. Yeah, that crisp air that I was feeling, you're much more peaceful. You're much more liberated after this point, okay? Really, no joke. That, yeah, I don't know. I could just feel it. So the air is different. It's like you are able to express yourself differently. You think different. Your perspective is new. Your environment is new. Perhaps you're traveling or wanting to travel somewhere in a higher altitude, closer to water, a mountain and water, something like that. Some of you. Okay, that's a random channeled message there. Okay, and what do we have? In any moment, I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. Yeah, this is, again, the guidance that we saw earlier being repeated throughout this reading. Let's see your astro dice. Taurus, Sun, Rising. How's the present? Yes, we have the 7th house, we have Saturn, and we have Virgo. Okay, so your health, wellness, your work routines, your lifestyle, and restrictions in those areas, or restrictions through other people, obligations towards other people, in service, people you're catering to. These topics will come up here, and you'll need to, first of all, Saturn is in Aquarius, so things are being shaken up. The status quo is shifting. Obligations are more about taking responsibility of what you want to be willfully surrounding yourself with, okay? Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, of individuality or individualism, is just asking you to find your unique sense, okay? That yes, we live in a collective, but if we don't have our own selves fixed or understood, then it is very hard for us to fit in society, right? So the way that we relate to others, the way that we relate to the world and to our own physical essence is kind of dependent on how we perceive ourselves and the world as well. So that will be brought to light here. And I feel a lot of shake-up, right? I mean, we saw that with the cards here, but in general, through this as well, there's shake-up, but it is very meaningful. It is extremely purposeful here. Yeah, your mind really, like, I mean, Mercury is quite happy in Libra. It's in a fellow air sign. Since it rules Gemini, it is really able to help the mind and the communications. There can be some conversations that are very, very useful here for you and kind of help you get that resolution, okay? So that's what I have for you, Taurus. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope this reading helps you and kind of also helps you flow with the energies here so you can experience this in a more pleasant manner. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want a personal reading, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box in the comment below. I hope to see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.